So Emily, you did incredibly well at badminton this year, securing 4th place. How did that help you prepare for Aachen?
Badminton was awesome and learnt a huge amount from Valmy. I think any 5-star competition with a horse, you come on, even if it doesn't quite go to plan, you learn so much from them. It definitely it just gave us a few more things to work on at home to just perfect our performance, so that when we went, Aachen's quite a different competition, being a 4-star short as opposed to a 5-star long. But little parts of his dressage test, there was similar movements, some exactly the same movements in Aachen, but just in a different sequence. So things like that, I could really use that to improve on for Aachen, and tweaked had a different bit in him actually show jumping wise at Aachen from badminton off his performance there, and it just helped just get a little bit more of the edge, hopefully.
And you came individual 5th at Aachen with Team GB the overall winners. That's incredible.
Oh, thank you. It was an amazing show. I've been there a couple of times before watching, but it was the first time competing there, and it was just, it was absolutely incredible. And so hoping to match our team result with an individual result like that next year.
And how do you get Val over to Germany?
So us and Val went in the lorry and on the ferry, and we crossed actually from here, being up, more up north. Hull, Rotterdam is the best ferry crossing for us. So that takes about 3 hours to drive up to there from here. It's actually an overnight crossing, and because we just had Val on the wagon, we could open up all the partitions, take his head collar off, have the hay and the water on the floor. So it's basically like a little mini stable for him, because it's so important when they're traveling for long periods of time that they can get their heads down so they don't build up any excess mucus, and that causes quite big problems. So that hay on the floor ticks that box, and he travelled really well, 3 hours on the other side, and then we were ready for action.
And the next big one is Burghley. So are you going to be attending?
Next big one is Burghley, and yes, I'm planning on attending with Val. So that would be very exciting, and I think it will come around very quickly.
And how are you preparing for Burghley?
So Burghley be very similar to badminton in that, me personally, with the 5-star horses, their fitness is really a priority of their work. So Val's sort of weekly regime is, every 3rd or 4th day he gallops. I hack him over to the gallop field, which is up and down a lot of our Welsh hills, just getting over there. Has his times at the gallops, which get increased. They're slowly being increased at the minute, and then I'll keep him consistently at about 6-7 times at the gallops. He'll go. It's not a hugely long gallop, but it's a good incline, and he'll stay consistently at that. He'll maybe have a couple bigger pushes, and then that would tailor off a little bit a few weeks before Burghley. He'd have a good few prep runs before Burghley. He runs at Burghley as his next competition, and then at Hartbury, and then Burghley.
How's the weather affecting the horse's way of going? Has this influenced your training at all?
It has influenced our training, as in quite a few of the competitions with the older horses are actually used as just training prep runs for a big competition. So then, with a whole bunch of them not being able to run because of the weather, or the going being really deep that they have to run slower or not run cross country, it's more sort of big picture affected our prep for the big goals. The younger horses, it hasn't been so dramatic because they haven't maybe had the runs that we'd like them to have had, but there's so many more to come in the year, and they're younger. It doesn't matter so much. There's no set goals. It's more just producing them as well as possible, and for each individual character. So that's not been so sort of affecting the plan. But with the older horses, we've had to then, a few of them, adjust what their main goals for the season or the spring season were, because they haven't been able to have the prep runs to build up the mileage and the confidence to go to the planned run. So we've had to be quite, open-minded with adjusting that. So that yeah, it has been a strange year. So hopefully we say, as it's raining right now, that we have a drier autumn. I mean, on a whole, personally, I think the softer going is much nicer for them than the harder going. But obviously there's there's the extremes, and we've certainly had the extremes this spring, haven't we? So hoping we can get the young horses can do a bit of catching up in the autumn, and the older horses can have their prep runs they need to hopefully still be on target for those big main competitions.
How would you make a decision on the day of an event to pull a horse up? What's sort of the deciding factor on that?
To me, it's exactly what, how the horse underneath you feels. It's that sort of situation that you can't prep for, and you don't know until you're out there doing it. Some horses, you've got them super fit, and they might a bit surprise you in that the fact that if the going's a bit deeper, it actually isn't so much harder for them, and they don't really notice it. They maybe have a really light way of going, they can just skim across it. And some horses, actions may really suck the energy out of them. And for me, I'm always, even when I'm in the zone going cross country, we've got, you dread to think that hours and the hours of everyone's time and effort, it just takes a city, not a village, to get us to these 5-star competitions. You got to, in a way, let that all, not think about that when you are in the moment. Because if, to me, I always then prioritise how the horse is feeling. We've done all the shows with them. We know what's norm for them. We know when they are at the end of a 5-star competition. It's like at the end of a marathon. They're feeling different, and it's for you as a rider to flag when different is not correct. When that is not them just in that final stage of pushing. It's them saying, look, this is a bit much for me. And we've had it a few times this spring with horses that just haven't coped with the going as we would have liked. And I'm always like big picture. I'd hate for there to ever be a problem with a horse and think I didn't do the right thing there. I always want to prioritise their safety. They're such kind, amazing animals. They give us so much, and the last thing I'd want to do is just to let the occasion take over. No matter whether you're at Badminton, you're at Burghley, you're at little unaffiliated show down the road, I would take how the horse feels at every event the same. And I've had to do that at Badminton the other year with Valmy, who didn't probably even appear to people watching to seem like he was that tired, but I just knew he was so not how he felt. And I thought there's, I knew in a handful of jumps he's going to be feeling really tired, and I did not want to get remotely close to that point. So I thought there was no point doing those, the next few jumps to just, with a little bit of risk, I wanted to stop before there was any proper risk upon him. And he then was, he was happy, he was safe, he was sound, he came home, and we could reroute somewhere else, which I wouldn't have put money on that being the case if I'd kept going. So no, we always put their health at that's the utmost importance. And if they start telling us things, there's so many things we don't know about them. Sometimes it would be amazing if they talked, wouldn't it? And you don't know how they might just not be feeling on their A game one day, whether it is even the going, it might be something else. And I think we've got to be very conscious of listening to them.